you were to speak to him today, he'd probably tell you that God works in mysterious ways. Because if he didn't, he probably wouldn't be standing here with us right now. You see, this is a story about a guy here at church, and it was New Year's, and he had committed to making some New Year's resolutions. Like many of you, he wanted to get in shape. He wanted to get fit, and he had a number of good reasons. One, just for himself, but because he was also married, he was a new father, and he had another little one on the way. So he wanted to be fit and in good shape and healthy for the entire family. So he had committed himself to working out and to getting back into shape. So shortly after that commitment, he went to the gym and started working out. He did the usual circuit that a lot of people do. He was there for about 30 minutes, and he started to feel a little uncomfortable around his lower abdomen and side region. He said that while he was there, it just kind of bothered him, but he decided to work through it, do the best that he could. Well, another 15, 20 minutes went by, and he said the pain became worse and worse. So he decided he better just leave it at that. And so he packed up and he went home. He just kind of wrote it off as not a big deal. Well, he woke up the next morning and he was in a considerable amount of pain. He talked it over with his wife, and his wife nudged him and said, "Listen, I'm making an appointment for you to go see the doctor." And so he did. And he went to the doctor within a couple of days, and the doctor checked him out, did the examination, and said, "I need to send you to a specialist." And so he went to a specialist within about a week, and while he was there, the doctor did his examination. The doctor said to him, "I have bad news for you." He said, "I think you have testicular cancer." The guy said, What are you talking about? I just have some pain in my side." I mean, the worst he thought it could be was possibly a hernia. Maybe he just kind of stretched himself or hurt a muscle or something like that. He wasn't expecting this word of cancer. And he was frightened and he was scared. Some of you know exactly how that feels. Well, he did the only thing he could do. He went and they said, "Okay, we're going to have to go and take an MRI." And so they went and did an MRI the very next day. And then they got the results, and it came back, and they found out, yeah, he has cancer. And so they immediately decided they're going to have surgery on him, and they're going to do chemotherapy and radiation. And so all of this took place over the count of about 30 days. And finally, after 30 to 60 days, all the information came back, and he has a clean bill of health, and he seems to be great. And what's amazing about the story is he came and he told me this, and he said, "I went to my doctor to get a checkup on all of this. And I asked the doctor, he says, what was that pain that was going on in my side I originally went there for to begin with?" And the doctor said to him, he said, "I have no idea what that was. But if you hadn't come in, we would never have known that was there. Maybe until it's too late." He says, God works in mysterious ways. That's his story. And that's the story of our great storyteller, our Heavenly Father.
It's a great video. Let's show it again.
I'm sorry.
I heard that. Did you hear that? Oh, sorry. That's so great. Hey, I got little house cleaning things to take care of right now. Okay, first up, Easter's coming. And I want you to be looking out for people to invite. And a couple of things you got to know. One, last year it was kind of hot. And so this year we're facing a different direction, but we're also going to have easy ups all around the outside. So if you have somebody who's a senior and can't be out in the sun, we got that totally taken care of. We're also going to have golf carts for those people. So if you have, we're really doing it up. And if you could help, oh my gosh, set up, being involved with greeting, whatever. This is all hands on deck, right? This is family, Family's coming over. We got to clean up. So if you can help us with that, that would be great. A second thing is, and I'm just going to throw this out there, I parked my Miata out in the courtyard. If you're a woman, sign up for that women's retreat. If you're a man, get rid of her for the weekend, all right? Sign that check. They're going to have so much fun. And you're going to know so many more people after that. Okay, one last thing, and that is that some of you, when you show up to church, you are facing a line like you've never faced before because you have a child and you're dropping them off at the children's kiosk over there, and you probably don't want to wait in a line. I mean, who likes lines, right? Let me help you understand something. The reason why we have that system is because from day one, there's nothing been more important to Canyon Springs than the safety of our children. And another thing that's super important to Canyon Springs is that those people that walk in for the first time, We want them to feel so comfortable here that they can relax and hear about Jesus. So here's my recommendation. I have a very easy recommendation for you. All right? Show up early. You know what? Thank you. Got that one. Applause. Show up early. Show up to the kiosk. And nobody's waiting there. Just go in early. Another thing that you can do too. You know, one of the greatest things you can do for Canyon Springs to reach out to more people is to be here early, because new people are here early. And if you're here, they feel welcome and warm. So that's what is going on over there. So if it takes a little bit longer, be patient. Show up early and realize the purpose for all of that. And that's simply to reach more people for Jesus, right? Because that's why we're all here. Okay, tell you what, we're going to pray and we'll get started. Dear God, thank you for my friends here. God, thank you for the mysterious and miraculous ways you work in the lives of people. It's just amazing. And I pray that today that you would do that very same thing with us. Wherever we're at, that we would be able to sit here and just listen to what you have to say, God. We love you. In your name we pray. Amen. Hans Eichelboom came out with a book in 2014 that he'd been working on for over 20 years. And his idea was simply this, that people are very similar. What he did was he took a camera, put it around his neck, right here. He never put it up to his eye to take pictures. He would just go to a place where there are a lot of people, and he would have a remote clicker in his hand. And he would just walk around, and he'd click pictures of different people, and who they were, and what they looked like, and what they were wearing. And he found out something amazing. Let me show you a picture. Here we go. Right here. All right? All of the pictures that he took were in one place within a half hour to 2 hours. And within 2 hours, he took this picture of all these women in 2 hours, one place. Let me show you another one. All right, check it out. Okay, next picture. Most of these are within a half hour. Okay, next one. Okay, I love this right here. Okay. This is a little scary. Okay, let me show you another one. All right. That's actually in Europe. I don't know what that thing is, man. It's a purse, right? A purse. I don't know if you know what they call it, but it's a purse to me. Okay, next picture. Huh? It's a denim overload. Next one. Cool, right? Okay, here's another one. Check that out. I think that was in Sweden. Okay, next picture. Within a half hour. Amazing, okay? There you go, right? I think this was early 2000s. All right, check this out. See right here. All these guys, New York City, USA, between 12:15 and 1 o'clock. All look the same. Now, what's his point? I think his point is very clear. That we, as people, are sheep. We are all sheep. How else would you explain these things? The mullet. Leg warmers. Goth. Foam trucker hats. Acid wash jeans. Who had a pair? Fanny packs, crew cuts, breakdancing, dance moms. How do you explain all those things? You know, there's a term for that behavior. You know what it is? Sheeple. We are sheep, and we look alike, and we dress alike, we do whatever it takes to look alike. And I know it, and you know it, that we as people are sheep. Now, we're in this series called The Storyteller because when Jesus came and he spoke, he very rarely just sat down or went up in front of the synagogue. He did that a couple of times. He had a couple of messages, but most of the time, he's out and he's telling stories about things. You know, look at the birds. See, they don't worry about what they have. Look at them. Look at the ground, and look at the seed that falls on the ground, and look at that tree, and see if that tree doesn't produce fruit. And over and over and over again, he points to different things. And then there's one place, one word that Jesus uses to talk about us more than any. He's choosing one illustration to tell us what people are like, and it's sheep. 39 times Jesus calls you and I sheep. Now, I don't know that we can ever change that trend. I don't know that we're going to break out of it and just be completely radical different people. I think that we just tend to do that. If you look around, in fact, Brian, stand up. We did not plan this. Brian, stand up. Okay, we stand up my sound man today. Okay, check him out. Love that shirt, Brian. It's my favorite. I don't think this is ever going to change. But I do believe this. We can choose who we follow. And we can choose who we listen to. If you have your Bible, open up to John chapter 10. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry about it. I'll read it to you. And we have some Bibles up top, and you can grab one of those later. John chapter 10, verse 11. And my question is this: who are you going to follow? Are you going to follow fashion trends? Are you going to follow what people are wearing at work? Are you going to follow what's happening in culture? Are you going to follow what's happening on TV? Or are you going to choose to follow Jesus? John 10, verse 10 says this: I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. I'm the good shepherd. And the good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. Lots of fads and trends you can follow. Lots of ideologies and philosophies and theologies you can follow. Let me tell you something. Only one leads to life to its fullness. Only one. You know that word full, let me tell you what that word full means. It's a Greek word, and I can't pronounce it, but it means this: exceedingly, abundantly, supremely, something further, more, much more than all. Let me ask you, how does that sound to you? How would you like that kind of life? More than you expected, exceedingly more, much more, life to its fullest. You can't change the fact that you're sheep. We can change who we follow, and only one leads to life. Tell you what we're going to do right now. Why don't you bow your head? And just, pray this simple prayer right now. Just say, God, help me live life to the full. If you're not a Christian, you could pray that, right? Maybe you don't even believe God. You want that. God, help me live my life exceedingly abundantly to the absolute full. Help me to learn what that means, God. Just take a couple seconds and pray that. Dear God, I pray that you'd use these next few minutes in our life, and that we would be able to sit at your feet and listen to you. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, today we're going to learn a couple secrets of life lived to the fullest. We're going to look at John chapter 10. Over and over and over, Jesus calls us sheep. In chapter 10 of John, he does it 17 times. So we're going to start in verse 1, and it starts like this. Very truly I tell you, Pharisees, anyone who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way is a thief and a robber. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him. The sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they never follow a stranger. In fact, they'll run from him because they don't recognize a stranger's voice. Jesus used this figure of speech, but the Pharisees didn't understand what he was telling them. Now, the Pharisees didn't get it, and my guess is at this point, you don't get it. Okay, there's sheep and a fold that walk around and follow his voice. What's that even mean? Well, let me start by giving you some basic understanding of sheep that the people around Jesus would already know. All right? Shepherds lived out in the field, and they would take their sheep to different places throughout the day, but oftentimes they would bring all of their sheep back, and they would put them in what's known as a sheepfold. And a sheepfold is a big, walled area that held sheep. That way they would be safe from wolves or whatever was going to attack them. Now, very often, several families would build a sheepfold, and so several family sheep would all come in at the end of the day. And so you have all these sheep mingling around, which brings up one, what I think, really important question, and that is, how do you separate these guys afterwards? Because have you seen sheep? I mean, they pretty much all look the same, right? We have that, right? But I don't know how you're gonna, separate them. You may not realize they hung out with them all day, but I don't think they're gonna recognize all their sheep. They're gonna be able to go, well, that's Ethan, and that's Jason, and that's Cameron, and that's Corey, that's Blake. So, you got a problem with that? Blake? That's exactly right. That's why I did it. They wouldn't know that. I don't think that they numbered them. But even if they numbered their sheep, what a pain that would be if there's over 1,000 sheep to have to go pick out all of your sheep, right? I don't think they tried to put one group of sheep over into a corner and kind of guided them there. That's not how they separated sheep. The way they separated sheep was very, very simple and could be done in moments. And that's this. Sheep know the voice of their shepherd. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You ready? Show this video. Just do it once. Just do it once.
One more time.
Oh, one is. Louder! Tika, 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 tika! Tika, 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 tika! Tika, tika! Tika, tika, tika! Ayoko!
Look at them, look at them.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
They are coming. Oh my God. Woo! Oh my God. I can't believe it. Oh my God. Is he white boys? Oh my God. This is amazing. One more.
This scared them.
Yeah, Eunice made him go away.
Oh my God.
Was that cool or what?
Oh my God.
You will never have the same again.
Oh my God. I can't believe it.
That's awesome. Although I don't think I've ever seen anybody else dressed like that guy. Sheep recognize their shepherd's voice. Now, here's the point. You and I need to make sure, if we're going to live life to the fullest, we need to make sure we are listening to the right voice. Right? Now, let me help you understand how important that is. Think about your life for a moment. Think about some of your biggest regrets in your life. How would your life have been different if you had somebody wise in your life speaking into your life at that moment when you made this decision? Some of you are in a career, or you're not in the career that you want, or you're not fulfilled. How great would it have been back in the day to have somebody that knew you and knew you well is speak into your life and you could follow their voice? Think about somebody that you dated long ago and it just ended up in trouble. It just was a nightmare. I remember I was at a men's conference and we were talking about our worst date, and one guy said, yeah, the worst date was my first date with my second wife because it led me to marrying her. Ouch. What if you had somebody speak into your life at that moment? What if you were at a party and instead of taking that beer and drinking it and starting this life, you had somebody wise enough and you listened to their voice? What do you think about that? How important is it that you and I listen to the right voice? Now, we're going to keep reading, verse 7. Pharisees didn't get it. Jesus goes into more detail. Verse 7. Therefore Jesus said, very truly I tell you, I'm the gate for the sheep. All who have come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep have not listened to them. Okay, now listen, here's the point. If you want to live life to the fullest, listen to the right voice. Good sheep don't listen to thieves and robbers. Now, if you're reading this chapter, you wonder, who are the thieves and robbers he's talking about? The thieves and robbers he's talking about, the people that are distracting them from going the way that they're supposed to go, it's very clear. It's the Pharisees. Who are the Pharisees? Religious leaders. Let me make it clear. Who are the Pharisees? Pastors. Because for years and years and years, there was one reason why these people were in the game. I mean, there may have been a time when they followed God, but at this point, they're just in it for selfish gain. All right? It's just hoping to get through this little point without somebody saying, say it. Jesus goes into more detail in verse 9. I'm the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They'll come in and out, find pasture. The thief, though, he only comes to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they might have life, have it to the full. I'm the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand, again, he's talking about the Pharisee people, the pastorally people. The hired hand is not the shepherd, does not own the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and he runs away. Then the wolf attacks the flock and scatters it. The man runs away because he is a hired hand, cares nothing for the sheep. I'm the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. And I lay down my life for the sheep. Here's the bottom line, and the problem with the Pharisees. They're hired hands. They're only in it for the money. And look, I get it. You know, one of the things that people, when they wander into a church the first time, one of the things that they're most concerned about is how much is this church going to talk about money? And it's not my favorite thing to talk about at all. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but I've had several people get in my face and confront me angrily that I don't talk about money enough. But here's the reason. For 2,000 years, people have been wondering, is this person legit, or are they only in it for the money? Now, clearly, we do have to talk about money, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago. The reason why we talk about money is because money is the number one most dangerous thing to distract us away from our God, right? It's the biggest competition because it offers us security and joy that only God can give us. We got to talk about that, but I get it. Listen, I understand. Now, let's stop talking about me for a while. Let's think about this. How many other hired hands are there in our lives? That the reason why they're in our lives, and the reason why they hold sway in our lives, is because they're hired hands and they want something out of us. Okay? Take work, for example. Your work loves you. When do they love you? When you're producing. When you're making more money for the company. And when you are having a difficult time, or when things are going south in your family and your production drops off, work's not happy with you. Work doesn't lay down its life for you. Does it? Nope. Thank you. Perfectly timed. Let me give you another one. You know, what sells in our culture more than anything is sex sells in our culture. Here's the interesting thing. You know, sex just offers you, it says, we'll make you happy, you know, just do this and do that. And you see it on computers and TV shows. The number one movie of 2015 is about masochistic sex. Violent sex. It's disgusting. And it offers you, says, look, if you just listen to our voice, you're going to end up at happy. There are other areas that try to say, look, we value you. When you volunteer or when you coach and we do those kinds of things, people are very happy with you as long as you're producing, as long as you're there. But the moment something happens in your life and you can't do it anymore, you're not as important to them anymore. Right? And you take each one of them. Work will not lay down its life for you. And if you follow all these, patterns sexually, if you actually do one of those things that you're seeing in movies and people notice it, they will throw you out so quickly. So our world does. It suckers you in, and when you fall for the bait, you're done. And you're scandalized, and people around you don't like you anymore. There are lots of voices that we can listen to that offer us what we would consider a better life. But here's the difference. None of these people are going to lay down their life for you. And Jesus says, that's what I will do. I will lay down my life for you. 5 times in this chapter, it says the shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. And let me show you when he lays down his life. I think we can, Isaiah 42, do we have that? There we go. We're all like sheep, and we've gone astray. Each of us has turned his own way, and when we did that, when we did our own way, and we got involved with the wrong person, or we got involved in the wrong thing, our habit took over our life, we've turned our own way, and then what happened? And the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. Listen, he loves you, and it's not because you're so great, or because you can throw 90 miles an hour, or because you're really good at school, or because you're really smart at business. None of that. He loves you when you were your worst. And when you were your worst, he laid down his life for you. Right. Now, I know you know that. How much would it change our lives if we actually knew God loved us that much? Man, you don't have to be perfect just for Jesus to stay with you. Even when you go astray, even when you do dumb stuff, he's there. That voice is worth listening to. That voice is worth trusting. That voice is worth following. That voice is worth dedicating your life to. Listen to the shepherd. Okay, I got one more quick point. If you want to live life to the fullest, you have to follow. It's not enough to hear. You have to follow. And I keep saying this. I've said it over and over. I don't really want to belabor this point, but that's what we're supposed to do. And let me show you what you get when you follow. I said this a couple of weeks ago. I went to Haiti. We're adopting a child out of Haiti. And in her Bible, I got a hold of her Bible, and I looked to Psalm 23, and it says, Daphne's prayer for Pastor Jack, or for Papa Jack. She calls him Papa Jack. Have you read Psalm 23 lately? Here's what I want to do. I want to show it up on the screen. And we're going to read it together, because this is what the shepherd promises you. If you give your life, see if a word jumps out at you. See if a phrase jumps out at you in this. The Lord's my shepherd. I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I'll fear no evil, for you're with me. Your rod, your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies, and you anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely the goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Is there a word that jumped out at you? Anything in there that you feel like you could use right now? How would you like to lack nothing? I lack nothing. God, I'm following God. I lack nothing. I love this line. He leads me beside quiet waters. Has your life been a storm? Wouldn't you just love it if your life was quiet waters in your soul? It says he refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths. Anybody making a decision? I'm not sure about this job. Maybe I should do another job. I'm not sure if we should have more children. I'm not sure where we should go. Should we move here? Should we move there? Anybody in a decision place? He leads me along the right paths. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil. I was in a friend's house the other day, and she is one of those people who's struggling with cancer. And what do you say to somebody like that? I mean, this isn't just a parishioner that I'm there to collect a, tithe check from, although I do that all the time. This is a friend. Here's what you say. You say, when you follow the shepherd, even death doesn't have to be scary because he has reserved a place in heaven for you. That's what the shepherd gives you. You prepare a table before me. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Who doesn't want this? Surely your goodness, your love will follow me all the days of my life. Whose voice are you listening to? Who are you following? Okay, you knew it was coming. I'm going to tell a Haiti story. Okay, so I was in Haiti for 15 days, and I want to introduce you to our interpreter. We spent 15 days with this kid. He's our interpreter. I'll tell you his name in a second. But first, let me introduce you. I think I have a video. This will introduce him in a great way.
Go.
That's pretty good, right? Our interpreter's name is Follow Me. And we spent 2 weeks with Follow Me. And I got to know him a little bit. Follow Me can not only dance, he is the drummer in his church's worship team. He also plays piano very well, and he also plays guitar. Super talented, godly kid. He's 20 years old. He is, at this point, the sole breadwinner, not the sole breadwinner, the primary breadwinner of his house when he works this. His dad doesn't work, his mom works as a street vendor and makes almost nothing. Following Me makes $20 a day. And that's the most money that they make, and that's how they sustain themselves. We were shooting baskets, and the basket, I shot it over the fence. And so we had to walk all the way around and walk it with Follow Me. And I said, hey, buddy, what's it take to get a job? I know you work as an interpreter, but what about getting a job? And his answer was so disgusting, I can't even say it out loud in church, but let me just put it to you in a very mild way. That according to Follow Me, to get a job, you have to sacrifice yourself sexually. That's what he told me. That is not the first time I've heard that story. It was Carnival when we were there. And Carnival, Carnival's like Carnival in New Orleans. It's leading up to Fat Tuesday. It's not any, more moral down in Haiti or Rio or wherever you go. And I asked Follow Me, hey buddy, what are you gonna do for Carnival? And he says, people that follow Jesus don't go to Carnival. And his plan was he was going to be at his church that night helping lead worship until 2 o'clock in the morning. Because he decided to follow Jesus instead. While he was there, it reminded me, I don't know, have you ever heard the song Follow Me by John Denver? So you'd have to be super old to know that song. Anybody know that song? Yeah, raise your hand, right here. Okay, good. And I thought, oh man, this is perfect. Every time I see you, I think of this song. And so we were getting in the car one day, and I said, hey, here, hold this little speaker. And on my phone, I went from Bluetooth little speaker thing, and I played the John Denver song, Follow Me, and he loved it. He loved it so much that he would play it when we were back at the guest house. He'd play it over and over and over and over so that he could memorize his theme song. And as I thought of that song, the chorus is perfect for you and me. And if we could just live our lives like this, and think of these words as if your good shepherd were singing them to you. And it goes like this, if you don't remember, or if you're not plus 50. It goes like this. Follow me where I go, what I do, who I know. Make it part of you to be a part of me. Follow me up and down, all the way and all around. Take my hand and say you'll follow me. Oh, thank you. Oh, if you clap for that, you must love Kyle. What would happen if you just listened to your shepherd? And he said, you know what? I'm just going to follow you. I'm just going to follow you. And you will lead me beside quiet waters. And you'll direct my paths. And all the days of my life will be filled with goodness. That's what it means to follow the shepherd. Hey, well, let's take a moment. Why don't you bow your head, and I won't sing anymore, and we'll just pray. First off, I want to start off like this. Maybe you wandered in here, and you don't really know this good shepherd, but you'd like to. You know, Jesus made it super simple. You know, he's not this religious guy who's just looking for your money or to make you do all the things you don't want to do. He laid down his life for you when you were terrible, so that he could take away all your past mistakes and regrets. I mean, that's who Jesus is. If you don't know him, if you're scared or you think Christianity is judgmental, you've never met Jesus then. If you want to know that Jesus, it begins very simply. Just say, dear God, I give my life to you. God, I'm going to follow you. I'm going to put you in control of my life. And I don't think it's easy. There's a lot of sacrifice to it, but boy, that's the only way you get to life to its full. If you want to pray that, it's just very simple. Just say, dear God, I give you my life. I put my life in your hands. I'm going to follow you. It begins a brand new life for you, filled with goodness and love. If you pray that prayer, come find me or take your little white card and check out that box. I made a decision for Christ. If you know somebody that needs to hear that message, we're going to be giving it on Easter. Bring them. God, for the rest of us, those people who have made that decision, that just needed a reminder that you're the one to follow. That all these other voices they need to shut out, and you're the one that they need to follow. God, I pray that you give them the strength to do that, and that you would bring goodness and mercy to them all the days of their life. We love you, God. Thanks for meeting us here. In your name we pray. Amen.